Let's talk about the Warlock in Hardcore Classic WoW. Throughout this video, I will give a brief summary on how good the Warlock is for Hardcore Classic WoW, an overview on the spells and abilities you have available and why they are useful, the pros and cons of playing a Warlock, and I will also give it a rating based on 3 criteria towards the end: solo gameplay, group gameplay, and survivability. So the first thing about playing a Warlock that most people will think about in regards to hardcore is having a demon available to fight by your side. This is an obvious huge advantage for the Warlock, having access to a Void Walker, which is a personal tank which in return reduces your personal risk of dying while leveling in the open world. As long as you play safely and pull mobs one by one, you can easily solo any regular mob by just letting your Void Walker keep the aggro, and you can deal damage through dot and wand while keeping your Void Walker alive through health funnel. That being said, having this demon does not make you bulletproof. I've personally played a Warlock in Hardcore Classic WoW and it was incredibly safe, until it wasn't. I went into a cave and had to do a quest where I had to summon multiple mobs, and it was impossible to do mobs one by one, and it ended up with me panicking and dying because up until this point it had been pretty safe being a Warlock. There are also some mobs in the open world that are immune to taunt effects, rendering your Void Walker pretty much useless. Like many mechanical enemies in the open world will straight up ignore taunt effects, and some of them are also immune to fear effects while also being immune to taunt, which can be very scary. Now let's get into some abilities the Warlock has available, which is really helpful in hardcore. Fear. This ability is a double-edged sword, but in 99% of scenarios, it is incredibly useful. You can, for example, send your Void Walker on one mob, fully dot that mob with Corruption, Immolate and Agony, then pull a second mob and fully dot that mob, for then to fear it away, and the mob will die during that fear through those damage over time effects. On top of this, you can pull a third mob and face tank it with Drain Life, effectively allowing you to kill 3 mobs in the same time it takes to kill one singular mob, making you incredibly efficient in terms of leveling speed. Fear can also be used as a defensive mechanic. Let's say you pulled an elite mob you did not want to pull, simply fear it and run away. Summon Imp, summon Void Walker, and summon Incubus. Basically, summoning a demon. Different demons are useful in different scenarios. Void Walkers are very useful if you want to play it as safe as possible and pull mobs 1 by 1 or 2 by 2, while the Imp and Succubus offer more damage and crowd control, allowing you to go a little bit more crazy. Howl of Terror and AoE fear ability, pretty useful as well. Death Coil, an ability you get in the mid-40s, which is incredibly helpful, allowing you a short duration but instant cast fear effect, which also heals you. This can be used as a defensive ability where you don't want to risk casting fear, but need an oh shit button to hit in order to survive. Let's say you are on 10% health with one mob on you, and casting fear could result in you dying during the cast duration. You can just use Death Coil instead. Siphon Life, this ability is available through the Affliction talent tree, and is incredibly useful no matter your playstyle. It offers a heal over time and damage over time effect, siphoning life from the enemy to yourself, allowing for more life taps and bigger pulls. Soul Link, this ability is available from the Demonology talent tree and offers a way to transfer damage taken by the player to instead be taken by the demon, plus it also increases damage dealt by both you and your demon. Fellow Domination, an incredible talent for survival in hardcore, and this is a must in my opinion for hardcore as a Warlock. Even when speccing into Affliction, I still put enough points into Demonology to get this ability. It's pretty early in the talent tree. Combined with the Master Summoner talent, this one offers a near instant demon summon, so if your first Void Walker dies, you can summon a new one right away without the usual 10-second cast timer. Curse of Exhaustion, this one isn't really worth spending too much time talking about. It is the regular slow effect, but it requires 5 talent points in order to actually be effective, as it's a 10% movement speed decrease plus another 5% per talent point spent into the improved talent for a maximum of 30% slow effect by wasting 5 talent points into it. But it's your only slow effect as a Warlock, so take it or leave it. When it comes to talents, you are very free to play around with whatever you personally want to use, but I'm gonna highlight 2 builds right here. The Demonology build, which is useful for those of you who want to play the game as safe as possible, and want to have a very tanky Voidwalker by your side, and prefer using the Voidwalker over any other demon. Next up, the Drain Life tanking build, which is just as useful for survival as the Demonology build, but it's more based on you being the tank and maximizing your personal survival through face tanking a mob while channeling Drain Life. Which build fits your playstyle really depends on your gameplay style preference. You could also spec deep into Affliction and focus more on damage over time effects, rather than Drain Life if you want to pump maximum damage and care more about your throughput than your survival. So let's get into some ratings. Solo gameplay, I give Warlocks 4 out of 5 stars. You have a lot of abilities at your service. You can fare self-healing through Drain Life, permanent healing potions through health stones, a personal tank through the Voidwalker, fare to get out of dangerous scenarios, you lack some crowd control, you don't have any movement speed increase ability, and your enemy slowing ability is a little bit scuffed. On top of this, you don't really have an oh shit button like a Hunter's Feign Death, Rogue Vanish or Paladin Bubble. The best you really have is Death Coil and maybe the Voidwalker Sacrifice. Groupy gameplay, what did I just say? Groupy gameplay, I'm actually going to put it at the same place, 4 out of 5 stars. I was even going to say 3, but having the ability to summon puts them up to 4. Survivability, also 4 out of 5, referring back to having a demon tank, health stones, fear and Voidwalker Sacrifice. You are usually pretty safe while leveling, but lacking the ability to vanish, feign death or bubble, plus lacking movement speed. And based on this, the overall rating is also going to be 4 out of 5 stars. I will add that Warlock is a very good class to choose for a first character in hardcore, because as long as you play it safe, it is a very safe class. Having access to a demon tank is a huge advantage over many other classes, making it the perfect entry class for anyone wondering which class to play. There's also a pretty big demand for Warlocks at max level, as they are used a lot in raiding setups, and people always want that summon ability for group and raid setups, so by choosing a Warlock, you are picking a class that is both good for leveling, and you know there is a demand for it at the end game. So there it is, hopefully this showed you some of the pros and cons of the Warlock class in hardcore, more of an introduction than a deep dive really, showing off the most important abilities and the pros and the cons of the class itself.